I am very excited because today I want to reveal something I've been working on for a bit. It's the next step in Project Hamartia's life cycle as one of my most complicated maps, one that I put just hours and hours into. And it's something that was sort of inspired by a conversation that I had between Telapoopy, Taylorhead, and myself on the channel a little while ago. We were talking about this kind of game and sort of where it goes and what appeals to the player and things like that. And there's just different games that appeal to different players, but one thing that I think this map has always been kind of missing is that, as Telapoopy put, I think I agree, it feels somewhat tech demo-y, where I kept trying to make all these neat, strange things happen to all these classes, and he's very right. That's kind of how I mentally approached it. And I just had like a sandbox you were playing in. And what that might mean is that you might play the game and be like, oh, this is pretty cool, I want to try this out, but I don't really know what else I'm doing in the map. Or if you want to go, you're like, oh, I didn't get to all the classes, so I guess I either miss out on the content or I play the same map again and the same rooms, and it feels kind of, empty. Or at least it can. And not every player is like that, but I can totally get that. So what I did was I took all the logic for all these classes, and even for all of the in development classes, and I put them in this room, that room, and especially the large grid rooms that I work in. So in other words, those three rooms are the core of the map. Everything that the game needs to run logic-wise is in those rooms. Which means, if you want to do like I'm going to do here, and run out into a new map, whatever, I'm releasing this as a core that you guys can work with, I'm bearing the lead, whatever a map maker put on the other side of this door, whatever they put here, you can play in with any of these classes. Everything is self-contained. All you have to do is go out and add stuff here. So here I've just got a little simulation kind of thing I'm working on. In addition to that, I wanted to talk really a bit more about why, but in addition to that, I've also made a lot of quality of life and balance changes to the map, because I didn't want to release it in a modular state until it was a little more polished. And because I'm a crazy person, I decided to devote even more time to it. So right now, I've made for example, the Hellcaster, I've made him now actually be able to have a little more feedback when he gets souls, as you can see here, these sound effects and these little visual effects, but also when you kill the big guys, anything that's not one of these major light enemies, you deal a bit more damage, but also whenever you kill one of them, you'll get 2 soul charges, because I found that this guy had trouble in later waves, but took a while to kill people, and you didn't have all these guys just to burn through. So there's that, but let me get back to, again, sort of what I wanted to do here. I was thinking, and I'm going to put this in a description that I want to post in the subreddit, I was thinking, there's a lot of work I've put into this, and I think there's a lot of gameplay to be had in these, in all these different classes. But again, I only have so much time to put into crazy maps, and arenas are tricky, and it occurred to me that we have so many talented map makers out there who can make these amazing just arenas and environments, and sometimes they're making just those environments for the classic Doom gameplay. Most of them aren't crazy like I am and try to change up the formula of the core gameplay itself, and that could be excellent. Absolutely. Like, I love playing through Taylorhead stuff, for example. Maybe not the best example, but his given the recruit. But anyway, but I also know there might be a place for these map makers, or for any of us really, to make something that is a nice little creative endeavor. Sorry, I'm going back in the room. I can't talk through all this. To make something where they can combine their brilliance, their ability to make these crazy environments to fight in, could combine that with just some new ways of playing. Imagine, for example, how some of our map makers we know like AC Slayer or Spindle Shanks, or I'll have a longer list in the description because I can only think of so many while I'm actively shooting things. Think of what they could do if they were playing around like the different speeds, the different classes, and the um, different environments we could fight in. You could have we could be fighting here in um, around a giant slag pit, or be fighting in a like in a giant space station, or in something floating up in the air. Imagine, like again, like I was just thinking of AC Slayer's Quick Doom. If you could imagine playing some of his maps, but in addition to what we already have in those maps, and you also playing through these waves of survival individually or as a team, I just think there's a lot of potential there. And I would really love to see, to inspire maybe some creativity to get maybe some of those who haven't made a map in a while to come back and do that. That's a dream and probably unlikely, but at the very least, it would just be an amazing way to create something that SnapMappers large and small can come together. Making this sound very poetic. I realize what I really made is something that can give a bit more life to the whole Project Hamartia concept. Something that can take all the work I put into this and give it a reasonable way to be something that can continue. But at the same time, if any of you are out there planning to make just a map, and you're like, hey, I want to make this map or this kind of theme, but you don't mind, you want to maybe mix up the gameplay in some way, or just add an extra flavor, or just see what you could do with the different creativity these classes sort of create. So there's what I'm thinking. That's my rambling thinking. I would love to see what you guys can make with this. Now, as for the how, I'll get into that in just a little bit, because I can show you guys. Like I've made it where the map is very, very like I've tried to organize things as much as I can, at least in terms of the chunks, and to make it nice and friendly and easy. Let's go through some of my little patch notes for some of the changes that I've made really quickly, though. So first, right now I'm playing on the Phalanx, who I noticed in my last video I actually forgot to play, and I've made a lot of changes to him. So he's got this same sort of, stick this to people and it deals constant damage to them as before. It's very powerful in these early waves. But I also have, if I was running low on health, which I'm not, so here, shoot me, buddy. Do it. I know you want to. Man, you're really bad at this. Anyway. The secondary fire, as you'll see, it actually pulls electricity onto me. It actually heals me. Now, because it's the lightning gun, that means that it can burn through its energy very quickly. But if you can get a group of people and zap them, it's a great way to add some more survivability. It's an interesting choice. So do you want to stick this onto people? Won't work on him because cacodemons are weird. Or do you need to heal yourself a little bit? I don't know why that guy was being dumb. There's that. Also, you'll see underneath my UI up there, underneath my HUD, I don't know why these guys are infighting, it says current shock damage. I also added some extra effects to spawning this thing. Whenever this thing comes down, that number, you see it rocketing up right now. That means that whenever I do a subsequent cast of this, which I can do now, then that will now deal that increased damage. So I can slowly bring it up to a max that'll mean that it's relevant in the late game while not overpowered in the early game right now quite so much. So that's the interesting things I've done to make him a bit more interesting, stand out from the others. Yeah, and he still has that debuff also. Whenever something runs through it, they permanently deal 80% less, not 80% less, they permanently deal 80% of the damage they normally would, which in the later waves, you will really feel. Anyway. So let's put this away for now. That's the Phalanx. Some of the other changes I've made is I didn't show this off last time, but you might have seen that I've got this Alt FX colors thing. I've added some more colors to it. I used to have just 3 additional colors, 1 for each taunt. But now, let's go actually look at this. But now, and I recommend jumping whenever you taunt, because that way it'll keep the input, but it'll still won't stop what you're doing. It's the default. Let's do another up. Let's see, yeah. So now, ooh, I need to heal myself really quick. You see that how that healing works? Works really well in the plasma gun too. You can see now I've got this this different effect going on here. So now I can turn from you know, Palpatine to Infamous. There we go. It applies to all of my effects. So that's that. Let's go play a different class though. Okay. Let's go have fun with some of the other guys I made changes to. Oh, the Demolisher. There it goes. There's my debt charge. Blow it up for now. Like purple explosions. Yeah. Blue explosions. Yellow explosions. You get the idea. Yeah. So there's some of the changes I've made. What's a good one to do now? Let's see.
You will burn.
Oh, I'm on the last stage already. I also shortened the game just a little bit. I hope that's reasonable. I think that it is. I made a lot of these a lot more consistent in general because I applied some changes that Telapoopy suggested. They were absolutely a great idea to make these things no longer be broken when you're playing with multiple people quite so easily. They were a bit finicky before. They're a lot smoother now, a bit more resource efficient as well. So that's there's a lot more updates as well, which I'm going to put in the actual video. Like I've done a lot of things, like making sure whenever you pick a class, it tells the player what that class does. Just gives a bit more of a breakdown of things. I don't know why these guys aren't spawning. So let me go back. That's fine. Let me go back to the editor that know that now, so I can sort of show you, if you are interested in doing this, kind of what things you'd want to tweak. So again, this is what the map looks like. This is that little room that I made, which is just a very simple, generic, sort of weird virtual space arena. I've got the instructions, which you can always, of course, delete. I would like everybody, if you do this, to put in the Project Hamartia with an underscore there, I guess either one's fine, as your tag so that we can find it. I might even make a hub map if there are enough of them, which, I mean, is dreaming, I know, given the state of the community right now, but, you know, maybe. There's still some of you working out there. And this is the kind of thing, like, I whipped this up pretty fast. But yeah, as long as you have this room, these 2 rooms, so the original starting room, and even that you can move these little bits out of, and this selection room, then you're good. Just put whatever you want right here. That's the whole idea. So let's walk around here really quick and just, if you're interested, let me just sort of give you the walkthrough. You can see that I have labeled as much as I can, which I did for my own sake as well, but I've tried to make it a bit even more thorough. Like over in this corner, I've got a lot of things that are like some of the core elements of the map, like what happens when you die, what manages the lives, sound effects when players are downed or revived, effects that happen when they're downed or revived. I actually don't think I need this anymore, but it's still there. And things along those lines. The things that let players recall back to the main room. A little variable I use. Don't delete that, please. Please don't delete anything unless you're sure what it does. I got their Vive systems over here. I have some of the things that like disable the glory kills or the damage numbers. All that stuff's right here. And then you can see each class I just kind of have set out and labeled. I would like to make these look prettier, but again, as I've shown in other maps, for me to move these, if I move this, I get like 5 seconds of being unable to do anything. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to clean up all this spaghetti more than it already is, just for the sake of that. I've tested and modified all of these classes. For example, the Quicksilver has got some major benefits. I'll actually show him off in a second towards the end of the video. I knew I was forgetting one. I have these things that you can put down for players to get extra lives or revive tokens. That's if you want to have an exploration reward, but it's not at all necessary because I do already have up here a body count reward that gives players lives for more people they kill. And you can tweak some of these things. These are pretty stable bits of logic, unlike some of these, which are a bit more in depth, pretty easily to change how you want that part of the map to play. I would say overall the classes are pretty finicky, but the core, the heart, these kind of things, you could probably tweak pretty easily. Over here you'll see I've got the basic wave setup, and I've set it up where it's these survival things with increasing difficulty, that every time a wave is spawned it just adds to a count here. That just triggers different things here. Once it goes through all of those, then it does the end game festivities, which is I just have this camera, so you can put this thing anywhere you'd like in your map, whatever the prettiest vista you've made is, but here's the default it's going to go to. It's also going to rain down a bunch of zombies from these teleporters, or at least it's supposed to. So you would just like put that camera, and also if you wanted to, this logo thing here, wherever you wanted to. That's at least what I've built that to do, but by all means. Up here is the class reset system. Really, it should be fine. You shouldn't have to do anything with this. Here's the color switcher. Again, this should be fine, but if you want to toggle or tweak some of the colors, then you could change that here. So it has the string here. You can figure it out if you need to. Some of these classes I've marked as incomplete. They are problematic. I might come back to them at some point, but for now, they're not really worth messing with. But they are also, as you might have seen, locked in here behind this red door. You can put a red key card somewhere in the map. You could make that not a red door. You could put a red key card here. You can do whatever you want. And I've made these three, the Ballista, Shazammer, and Hellhawk, because those are not working. I've made all of these not spawn with a core. But the Falcon and the Spitfire, which are pretty much working as they need to, they are just fine. So they will spawn with cores, and you could put those wherever you wanted to. You could even hide these out in the map. You could move them down here if you wanted to. Yeah. So that's the gist of it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm really excited to see some of the things that you come up with, and you could always post things in the subreddit. I check it fairly regularly, even with as slow as it moves these days. If you had questions, you could let me know, and if you want to do anything with this, feel free. I'm really excited. Even if there's just one map made, I will be very excited if anyone tries their hand at creating their own little custom, their flavor of arena, their flavor of, horde mode gauntlet to play in. And it even doesn't have to be like that. You could even make, I don't know why I'm saying it has to be a horde mode. It is not. You could even make one of your normal maps and just have players give them the ability to choose one, or choose all among all or some of these classes. You could even limit it that way, and you could give them just 3 of these if you wanted to, and have them decide how they want to progress through your map. Maybe get rid of the ability to go back to the spawn room, instead have teleporters every now and then at checkpoints where they can change their class if they wanted to, or maybe even have different class points where they can swap it out. Maybe even treat it like like one of those games where you swap between different sets of abilities based on the situation you're in. There's a lot of possibilities here. Long story short, I wanted to give you guys all the blood, sweat, and tears that I put in this map. I wanted to put it in one little modular, self-contained thing, so you could use it however you wanted to, if you did it all. Let me show off really quick what I did with the Quicksilver, and then I'll wrap this video up. Since we're now sitting already at 21-ish minutes. I know that when I don't know if anyone will really be interested in doing this. I hope so. I really, really, truly do. But I know a lot of us have our own projects going on. I certainly, even despite the name, which if you don't know refers to a fatal flaw from Greek tragedies, I am very aware that no one might be interested in this. I'm very aware that this just might not be something other people are interested in making. You've got your own projects, and that's what you want to work on. That's always a possibility. But, you know, this was fun to make. It was fun to polish up, and I'm planning on making at least one of my own extra arenas. And I've already got this little, you know, low effort, but interesting to look at least, arena. So, you know, who knows what could happen. But, anyway, let me show you what I did with the Quicksilver here. So you see when they kill them, they're dropping these little, I'm calling them sparks. I wanted to encourage a reason for him to go out and farm a bunch of kills and not just juke around things. So every 15 of these you pick up, you can see those little effects I have when you pick it up. Every 15 gives you a haste. So you've got to kind of balance. It's kind of like making him a mini Spitfire, since that class is not really one of my formally released ones. It's just a way of giving him an extra little power spike he can dance around. I thought he's really fun to play, but design-wise he just has this dash. And originally I had it where you'd get haste as your active ability, but because of how long haste lasted, it just kind of felt weird. This is just, I thought, a slightly more fun way of doing it. And so far it has been. You can see it's sort of self-sustaining too, which I like, because if you ever put a scoreboard on this thing, this guy gets encourages streaks. That's something you could always add. I was toying with doing it myself, rigging in a scoreboard, I might even add in a medal system, which the good news is, if I do anything from here on out, I'm going to put it in a separate room with distinct, unconnected logic, using events or what have you, so that in theory, you guys could still copy that in, updates, patches, if you will, because I'd love to make something like that, but I'm not sure how I could, given that I don't know how well designed all these things, or how balanced all of these things really are. Anyway. Yeah, that's it though. This is Project Hamartia Core. I'm really hoping that some of you have fun with this. I'm really hoping I get to see some brilliant creations. Yeah. That's it. Thanks for watching and have fun.